So using the methods in this video, I was able to get less done in more time, but I was able to get more of the important things done and actually start moving that needle of progress towards my goals. While I was able to do less, I was able to achieve more. I'm going to show you these 3 simple things that allowed me to do that. So my name is William, and I teach people how to optimally learn and focus. I help men like you who are working hard towards a goal. So subscribe, and then let's get straight into it. So most people nowadays are busy. The difference between a successful person who's busy and a not successful person who's busy is what they do. You can do a bunch of things, but it doesn't matter if there's one guy who's dialed in on one thing. So it's the same analogy of Bruce Lee's kicks. Are you spreading your attention across 1,000 different things, or one thing with 1,000 repetitions? Being busy in and of itself has no value. So how do we actually determine what to work on now that we've stopped spreading our attention so thin? How do we organize our time and manage that system in order to prioritize? It starts with 3 things. First, you need a weekly checklist. Second, you need to start conserving your mental energy. Third, you need to think like a leader. So what do I mean by weekly task list? First, you need to stop using a daily task list. When most people write their daily checklist, they're writing out their routine, their day, but they write it with it's gonna seem simple and very stupid, but they write their day out with the to-do list box. So they write it like, okay, so wake up, all right, I woke up, check it off. Gym, check it off. Eat breakfast, check it off. Those are menial tasks. You don't need to put them on your to-do list. What you should do for tasks like those, which you repeat and are low decision fatigue, meaning you don't actually need to think about doing them, you just sort of do them. You put them in a calendar, Google Calendar routine, or on your habit tracker. But do not put those sorts of tasks on your to-do list. Because when you do, you're similar to point 2 of conserving mental energy. You're taking up brain space that doesn't need to be thinking about these sorts of things. Why do you need to check off or even have this sort of thing like written out every single night of, yes, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to eat breakfast, I'm going to read, I'm going to meditate. Like all those sorts of things are pointless if it's not a work task. So what do you actually put on your daily checklist? You put work tasks, and not just menial work tasks, because some people will put cold approach on their work task 5 times, right? Or, unless that's your prioritization, that's a good idea to put it there. But what do I actually mean by having important work tasks on your to-do list? Don't put, let's say, for YouTubers example, I wouldn't think of a title for this video, right? That's not a work task. You would put, perhaps, think of multiple titles or come up with the script or ideas or planning or preparation, but just one title does not need to be put on your to-do list because that's too specific and it's not a long enough activity that requires enough thinking. So you would just do it in like 5 minutes and then check it off. So don't put 5-minute tasks or anything that can be just checked off in roughly like 10 to 30 minutes of shallow work. You want to put deep work tasks, and this is where a weekly checklist comes in. So you have this weekly checklist separate from your daily checklist, and you put the projects that are actually going to move you forward, and you move those tasks, you copy and paste them into your daily task list. So the benefit of that is you're going through your day and you're working on these projects, these big projects. You can splice them into different steps, but you're working on these projects and you're not being consumed by menial tasks. Your brain is focused on, all right, so this is the prioritized task right now. I'm going to work on this and this only, and if other things come up, sure, I'll do them if I need to, but this is still the priority. It helps with prioritization and organizing the thoughts in your brain, not just having a big list of tasks and being like, yeah, okay, I know this one is my most important task, but I have all these other tasks taking up my mental capacities, mental space. So just to recap, daily task list is where you move the projects in there that might take more than one day and you just work on them. and your weekly task list is a list of the projects that are actually going to move you forward in the needle of progress. So similar to that, you want to conserve your mental energy in other ways than just the daily and weekly checklist. So how can we do that? It starts with sacrifice and removing things from your life. So you've heard of, yes, we need to remove bad habits from our life. Yes, we've heard of, yes, we need to remove things that we may enjoy, may be good for us. So things like gym, things like, I don't know, say you like swimming or visualizing. Those things, while they can help you and do help you, are they giving you enough ROI back on the time that you would have had spent, or just recovering your brain from the last deep work task? Because when you use all your time to just work, recover, and then work, recover, you're able to complete more. But you need to use this intuitively, because obviously I still meditate for 10 minutes every single day and more sometimes. So not all habits are bad, but skipping past that, because we already know, we need to judge which ones are ROI, balance, but it's the things that we think are actually really good for us. So say I'm trying to learn how to learn, and I want to read this one book that I know will help me, because I've already skimmed through it. I've listened to the audiobook on 4X. But there's this other book that looks cool, and technically it's on learning how to learn, but I haven't skimmed it and I haven't actually listened to it, and I don't plan on doing that. I just want to read it for fun. That would be a cope task, because yes, it can help me. Yes, I might actually learn something from it. Yes, I'm going to improve my skill of learning how to learn from this book, but this one will help me more. The one that I've already skimmed through, the one that I plan on, analyzing and taking notes and teaching to you guys. That's the book that's going to actually give me the results. And this one, while it can, there's a very high likelihood that it won't, because I just don't plan on skimming it yet. So you need to be able to differentiate the tasks that you think are actually good for you, that will progress you towards business, but there's another task that you can actually do that's better. And this is like a very small minimal percentage, the 80% of the tasks that are going to get you 20% of the results. But it's still a large portion. That's 20% of the results. And what I mean by that is, when you're trying to differentiate your tasks, like, I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but you need to balance your input with your output. So when you're consuming information, you need to balance that with some sort of speaking, articulation, reading, writing, visual output that allows you to process what you just took in. And so this has to do with conserving mental energy, because when you're not processing what you've read, you're just consuming in this information and it's taking up mental energy. So either what you can do is decrease the number of sources you're getting it from, or increase the value and high quality of sources you're getting it from. So books, long form videos, courses, guides, podcasts, so things like that. And you need to really think about what is taking up my mental energy that I think is good for me. Once you've gotten past the first two stages, it's very easy to cope without information and learning and education and saying this is good for me, but you need to really assess, is this helping me to my goal? What problem am I trying to solve? And so asking those questions will really filter out the good and the bad information. So changing your identity to become a leader involves, you need to think like the way a CEO would, rather than an employee. So here's an example. The employee or the manager manages facilities, while the CEO is focused on what? He's focused on marketing, he's focused on sales, he's focused on product growth. The things that will actually grow the business, grow the revenue, while the employee is managing facilities. And sure, but again, it's the same thing. 80-20. CEO, 20% of the work that is going to get 80% of the growth. The manager, all right, sir, he's managing facilities, he's making sure the things are clean, that is the 80% of the work that is getting only 20% of the results. And so, how can you apply this to your actual life? How can you think like a CEO and not an employee? You need to think like a leader and not a follower. You need to think about what is the thing that's growing my business rather than managing it, rather than menial tasks that don't need to be done. In school, we've always been taught, all right, so they're giving us a task, now we have to do it. That is the employee, that's the follower mindset. But the leader mindset is, all right, so now I'm the boss. You need to assess, all right, there's a bunch of tasks in front of me. I'm not just going to run through them. I'm not just going to do them. I'm going to assess which one is going to actually grow my business and get me moving in the needle of progress. And so think like a leader, not a follower. So just to tie all this together, I've created an actionable list for you guys to follow. And number one, open up an iPhone Notes or a Notion page and just type out, create your weekly checklist. What are the projects that are actually going to move you forward in your business, in your relationships, whatever area of life that you're trying to prioritize and actually go all in on. Number two, get a pen and a paper and just journal about what am I coping about. Once you get past the first two stages of cope habits like bad habits, and then self-improvement habits like long visualizations or 3-hour gym sessions, and then you get to the part where you need to sort out the informational and education that's coming in, and as well as other activities that you think are good for you, that you may be learning from, you may be benefiting from. But are you going all in? Is this actually are you coping about this? You need to really ask yourself these deep questions, because some things you may not know, and I won't be able to answer these for you until you actually journal about them. And number three, what you need to do is just get a post-it note and write, be a leader, not a follower. And every single time you see that, just stick it up on your laptop, your wall, the mirror. I want you to remember that you need to think like a leader, someone who delegates tasks, and once you're capable of doing that, you've built up the capital or a network, and someone who does not just work on menial tasks. If you did like this, you'll probably like the other videos on my channel, so go ahead and subscribe. And if you did like this video, then you'll like the video that popped up on the end card right about here. So cheers.